Alright guys, here's our Simic Ramp Mill deck versus Simic Flash. And so we're down to 5 life, so hopefully we can cast out Agent Treachery next turn, flip them over with Thassa. So let's see here, we're going to blocks, this is a big guy for sure. We're going to trade those for those. And then he's going to jive in with, let's see, 1, 2... He's going to slide in for 2. So we'll be down to 3 life. This is going to be rough. I'm just showing you what our deck's... Yeah, so... We're going to steal his flyer with Agent Treachery. See, we could have tapped him out right here with Kiora. You create an 8/8. It's just too bad we just didn't get these cards. We could also mill for 10 whenever this enters the battlefield. Each player puts the top 10 cards of the library into their graveyard. Well, then at the end of your upkeep, you can exile a creature card and put it back on the battlefield. So, ETB effect. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to snatch this guy. Then we're going to flip Agent of Treachery and snatch this guy. So that's kind of what we can do with Thassa. Also, Thassa keep on milling our opponent. So a lot of enter the battlefield effects, and then this is just a win condition, Kiora. I mean, look. Oh, we drew another Kiora. So we need to gain some life here. So I'm going to draw up to 6. Because we heavily need it. We need to gain 3 life. Even if they counter this, it's still, we're going to gain 6 life and 3 life. And this game has changed. This is our Simic Flash. So he's going to counter our guy. But we do have that open. We're going to draw Growth Spiral. Alright, so let's bring this land into play. And are tapped. We do want to attack him for 6 in the air. Alright, then we flip over Agent of Treachery. Still one of their creatures. And we take one of his wolves. And then we can just start milling the crap out of them every turn. Just boom, boom, boom. So he brings down another wolf. Brings down another wolf. Attacking for 6 didn't really help us there. Alright, so, let's see. We're going to be forced to blocks. Well, no. We want to keep Agent Treachery alive, so we'll block that to that. We'll block that to that. And then, let's see. He'll sneak in for 5, right? Yeah, I guess. You'll create 2 more wolves. This is gonna be tough. Ooh, but we drew Final Devastation. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so here's what we're gonna do. We can do it for 10. Game's over. We're gonna get our other flyer, so we're gonna search. This is why having a flyer in your deck, he's gonna mill for 10. All of our creatures get +10/+10 in haste. Oh! 16/15 indestructible, 16/16 flyer, 16/16 flyer. Yeah, that's game. Oh, we were so down, guys. This is how this deck is just so vicious. Having that Sphynx, people just focus on the mill part. So like people, here's what I'm talking about right here. Oh, that was crazy. So on the Sphynx card, this is what people focus on. Let's go into our decks right here. All right, deck number 88. If you're like, how do you remember this? How do you remember your decks? You have over 90 decks. It's just all over. Yeah, I just remember. So right here, it's a 6/6 flyer. Whenever it enters the battlefield, each opponent puts the top 10 cards of the library into the graveyard. So imagine if we didn't have Agent of Treachery there. We could have kept on flipping him over and milling 10, milling 10. So that's really good versus control decks. Those grindy matchups that, and also it has 2 Devotion of Blue. So it does make, as we saw, it does turn Thassa in a 2-color deck trigger Devotion. The second thing is that it's a 6/6 flyer. I mean, think about it. Like, look at Gale's. Like, look at all. Like, a 6/6 is one of the biggest creatures in the format. Like, Cavalier of Gales and those Jizaki decks. Okay, that's a 5/5 flyer. We got a 6/6. The fact that it costs 7, we're Simic ramp. We have 27 land. So like, look at Growth Spiral. We have 4 of those. Risen Reef. So whenever another elemental enters the battlefield, and Risen Reef itself is an elemental. I'm not going to read the whole card for you. You can just read it as I'm talking. But basically what happens is if Risen Reef or another elemental enters the battlefield, you draw a card. If it's a land, it goes onto the battlefield tapped. If not, you draw a card. So basically you draw a card. All right, and if that card happens to be a land, it goes on the battlefield tapped, so it accelerates your mana. Also notice that Leafkin Druid is an elemental. Cavalier Thorns is an elemental. You're starting to get the drift here. This thing right here is it's just a beast. Kiora, Best of God. It's an 8/8. I cannot believe people are. It's a $2.50 now. It was at $3. Now it's down to $2.50. But it's a win condition by itself. I mean, you create an 8/8 with hexproof, and then you tap all non-land permanents an opponent controls. You tap them all, and they don't untap during the next untap step. So it kind of affects 2 turns, like a turn and a half, because when you bring this out, they're going to want to attack with everything because everything's going to become tapped. And then so it's kind of like you're tapping them out for almost like a turn and a half. And then you could full swing on them. And then, oh, by the way, you can gain control of a target permanent, then you untap it. So you can swing, you can bring out an 8/8, next turn, tap all their crap, swing with your 8/8. Then, if you're worried about not having a defense, you can steal one of their creatures and untap it to have a blocking defense. But by that time, the game should be over. We took out, so in the Simic ramp deck, they have 4 Hydroid Colossuses, which is what you should have. But we just don't have the room. You know, like, we're trying to do so much with this deck. So we have, you see all the win conditions now? It's not just Simic ramp, Cavalier Thorns, Nissa, and then Hydroid Colossus. What we're doing is we're making Final Devastation even more incredible, as you just saw in the matchup. Search your library and graveyard. What you didn't see earlier in that matchup, we had Thassa on the board because he countered it. We were playing for Simic Flash. They have 15 counterspells. They countered a lot of our crap. You didn't see that part. And we were behind. Like, when I started recording the video, we were definitely behind. But here's the thing. So what we did was we were able to Finale of Devastation. You can search your library and or graveyard for a creature with converted mana cost X or less, put onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. So if X is 10 or more, creatures you control get +X and haste until end turn. So they all get +10, and that's what happened, and they get haste. And that's why having a flyer is so big, because you can just grab a flyer, and then he becomes a 16/16 flying haste. Oh, by the way, mill you for 10. But we did a Finale of Devastation to get Thassa out of our graveyard. So now, because we add Thassa to our deck, and now that we have Sphynx Mindbreaker, it just adds a value to Finale of Devastation. You know what I mean? It just adds so much value that we're just able. So now we have so many ways to beat you. You know what I mean? Like, so we're definitely mid-range. We're mid-range, but we can beat you so many different ways, and because we can, like, pound you through the air. See, the problem with Finale of Devastation and the Hydroid Colossus is that if you fetch for Hydroid Colossus, it's a 0/0 creature, right? It's 0/0. So you bring it into the battlefield, it's gonna die. So you can't really Finale of Devastation to Hydroid Colossus. It'll die, right? Unless you're gonna do 10 or more. Then I guess this might get +10/+10 and survive. I don't know the ruling on that. But this allows putting in a nice flyer besides an XX00 XX creature allows us just a lot of win conditions. So thus, by reducing 2 Hydroid Crosses instead of playing with 4, we add two more win conditions to our deck. So that's the reason why I think it's worth the trade-off, because we now add these to the deck, which is a win condition, and then now we add these to the deck, which is a win condition. So we're able now to, and then we add Thassas. So it feeds into, so Thassa makes Agent of Treachery so much better. And so we survived by Thassa and stealing their creatures, and then we just ripped out Final of Devastation and just overwhelmed our opponent. But guys, Simic Flash, I mean, if you say that's the #1 deck, which it pretty much was in Aldrain Standard, you can check out my deck. We went 5-0 MTG top 8 on Arena, actually. You see that top 8, where I went undefeated in the best of 3. So you can check that out. It'll be called Simic Ramp Better Than Ever. So you can check that out. But to be honest, you'll see I think it's called Post Oko Ban Simic Ramp Better Than Ever. Just go on my channel and type in Post Oko, and the video will be there for you. But guys, I really encourage you to watch all my videos. In fact, I'm very audible, so I talk a lot in my videos. So realistically, I always make the joke, you don't even have to watch the video. You can just put it on play and just listen to it in the background. Like, you can just be doing your dishes, doing your laundry, and you can listen to my gameplay. And honestly, like, you're able to tell, like, okay, kind of like what's going on. So that's really it. So again, please, if you found this video, if you watched this video, subscribe. Please share and like the video. But overall, subscribe and drop a like button. Tell me in the comment section, do you like what we've done here with the Sphynx Mindbreaker? It's just more than just mill. It's a 6/6 flyer. All right, guys. Thank you, and subscribe.